Well, good morning, runners. It's great to be with all of you today here for our open forum, and I'm so happy to see all of your faces. I hope all of you are safe and well and staying strong, and I want to thank you for being with us this morning, and a very warm welcome again back to our fall semester. I have a number of announcements as we begin today, and all of our cabinet members will also be sharing with you updates. So it's wonderful again to be together. I wish that we soon will be in person so that we can be face to face. And again, I thank you for your patience as we ride out the COVID pandemic. One of the things that I would like to very much commend is the wonderful work of our Campus Preparedness Council. That council has been working tirelessly to make sure that we've had a very smooth start to our semester. And I'm very, very pleased by the way that we've been working collaboratively together. In particular, I'm pleased that we have had about 51 classes that, again, have had a smooth start. I'm grateful to the Provost and to all of the deans, chairs, and the faculty members for making sure that these classes are essential educational experiences for students that need to have that work in laboratories or in specialty units so that they can get their education. And I'm also very thankful to all of you who are abiding by our rule of essential employees only. And thank you too for making sure that if you do come onto campus, that you are abiding by our accountability to make sure that you take your COVID assessment prior to coming onto campus daily. So thank you. And our numbers are showing that, again, you're taking advantage of, again, staying at home to work, and we continue to encourage you to do that. I also want to move forward in saying I am pleased, and I certainly do support the decision of the chancellor to move forward with principally virtual in the spring. Again, I think this is a wise decision. It positions us well to ride out the pandemic. There are some projections, some forecasting that the surge is contained in some way now, but I think that we need to be ever cautious, because what I am hearing from public health here in Kern and also at the CSU level is that there is a possibility of an additional spike in COVID along with flu in October and November. I do want to encourage all of you to get your flu shot. That's what's being encouraged by public health. I myself have modeled that. I already have my flu shot. So that, again, if you do become susceptible for COVID, you certainly won't have the double dose of a flu on top of that. So please do be very cautious in your own personal health. But again, kudos and commendations to our chancellor for making, again, a very brave decision. I'm very pleased also that he made this decision early on so that the presidents could work with their campuses to, again, be prepared for a very fruitful spring semester. I'm also very happy that we have adopted such a great theme for the year, Runners United for Change. I thought our University Week was absolutely stellar. It was one in which it was the higher mark, if you ask me. I really enjoyed all of the work that was done by the Provost's office to prepare for that day. I thought our speaker from USC, from the Center of Race and Equity, Dr. Sharon Harper, was absolutely stellar in his comments and gave us guidance as we move forward here at CSUB for being a best practice university. I have a little something to share with you that will also show that I've been working behind the scenes on collaborations with presidents across the nation. These are presidents from our public universities, and I'm very proud to be part of this joint statement, which is made by some of the new ASCU presidents, and I share it with you now.
I think you need to turn on your sound.
No, but we're just going to go get the coffee. I know, but...
We, the presidents and chancellors of public higher education institutions from across the nation, stand together to call out and eradicate discrimination and racism.
We stand together as leaders of vastly different universities, some large and in the heart of densely populated urban areas,
others small and in the isolation of America's farmland.
Some historically Black colleges and universities,
others Hispanic and Native American serving institutions.
Some incredibly diverse and multicultural, and others
more racially and ethnically homogenous.
We stand together, intending to leverage the full weight of our positions and power
to root out anti-Black policies and procedures.
We stand together to provide equitable pathways to higher education,
in which diversity and inclusion is not only celebrated, but integral to the success of every student in every discipline.
We stand together, declining the antiquated calls to lead institutions that are merely not racist.
Instead, we aim to be anti-racist
and enhance our support of underrepresented faculty, staff, and students.
For those of us born with privilege, we stand together to correct the inequities that benefit us at the expense of others.
We stand together for those who have been mistreated, falsely imprisoned,
or have died at the hands or under the gavel of injustice.
We stand together with all of you,
the more than 100,000 students we collectively represent.
For you are our future.
And as we unite at this historic confluence of promise and hope, we vow to listen to,
learn from, and collaborate with you
to eradicate the injustice that is wrapped in our nation's history
and too often perpetuated today.
We stand together in recognition of the unique gifts each of our respective institutions bring to this work.
Some have bold ideas and radical abilities.
Others are more subtle and measured in their approach.
But all are bound by their unrestrained mission of building a world of love and acceptance through education.
And finally, we stand together to ensure our students, faculty, and staff
understand that they are not only invited, but expected to join us in this commitment.
Only then can we stir the good trouble until it is no longer seen as trouble, only good.
Only then can we turn ripples of hope into tides of change.
Only then can we reach our dream of a beloved community.
Only then will we truly be one. By coming together, by working together,
by standing together.
We
stand together.
Let me thank my colleagues across the nation who were so inspirational in working jointly on this message, and I'm very proud to be part of it on behalf of CSUB. I'm also very proud of Ana Santos helping me along with Faust Gorham today with this video. And again, the words are so very meaningful to us at this time in history. I also want to share some pride points, of course, as we move forward with regard to being involved in our 50th anniversary. And we're so very proud to note that we have Sir Richard Branson, who will be our keynote speaker, kicking off our presidential lecture series for the 50th anniversary. You'll be hearing more about this when we get to our Vice President for Advancement and Communications, Victor Martin. With that, I'm going to slightly change our agenda, if I may, to continue on pride points here, because we have someone to introduce to you that we're very, very proud of. And this is our own new trustee for the California State University system. And I'm going to let our own Chief of Staff, Michael Lukens, and also our legislative lead to introduce you to our newest trustee. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, President Zelezny. And yes, this is a a real pride point for the university. It's an honor for me to recognize CSUB's first student trustee selected to the CSU Board of Trustees, our own fearless Crystal Reynolds. Crystal is just it makes us so proud. Excuse me. She's so passionate about what she does. She's such an inspirational story. She's thoughtful. She's committed, and you see that smile. And she approaches everything with that warm, engaging, friendly smile. And we are just so proud. And Crystal, I will tell you that you've become one of the most popular people in Bakersfield. That as President Zelezny and I get on phone calls with leaders from throughout the community, everybody wants to know when they can meet you. And that brings such pride to our university. We couldn't be happier. We're all smiling the way you are in this photo. And just go be a strong voice for our students, as we know you're going to be. And I don't know how you pull off a standing ovation on Zoom, but we're doing it however we do it, yes. So thank you, Crystal. We're super proud of you, and congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Crystal, you will be a strong voice for Cal State Bakersfield and also the Central California Valley. And we're so very, very honored and proud of you. We know that you have to jump off to get on to orientation for being a new trustee, but we're so proud that we got to honor you this morning at our open forum. If you'll look in the chat, you are, again, being praised for your leadership. And I do want to mention your own chair of your Department of Computer Science, Dr. Melissa Danforth, the first in the chat to, again, praise you and to say congratulations. So thank you, Crystal, for representing us. Now, let's move forward to an update from our Provost in Academic Affairs. Thank you, Dr. Harper.
Thank you, President Zelezny, and I want to add my congratulations to Crystal as well. She's been an outstanding colleague and partner since my time of working with ASI, and she's going to do marvelous things for the Board of Trustees for this institution. I also want to thank the faculty, as the President mentioned, and the faculty and staff and students for what I would characterize as a marvelous transition through the fall semester. Taking what we learned from the spring, learning and deploying it in the fall has just been remarkable to watch. All the faculty that participated in the wonderful trainings that took place over the summer, over 300 faculty, and they're using those skills in the classroom today. And so just want to thank everybody for everything they've done to build a really great academic fall. I have a couple of updates that I want to share. I'm starting with ethnic studies. I'm going to talk a little bit about graduation rates and some initiatives that are very significant to the division. First of all, in reference to ethnic studies and AB 1460, had a great conversation this past week with the Academic Senate. I want to thank Aaron Hegde for his leadership in the Academic Senate. For those who don't spend all their time contemplating this, AB 1460 is a bill that was been recently signed by the governor that requires all students graduating in the 24-25 academic year to have completed an ethnic studies course. And we already have, this campus already have 2 ethnic studies courses on the books. And I've been working with the faculty in order to ensure that we have enough resources and enough bandwidth in order for all students to begin taking that course, beginning in the next academic year, in the 21-22 academic year. It's going to require some changes. If you look there on the second bullet there, Title V, which is the governance area for the legislative area for higher education in the state of California, has created a new area, a new GE area, Area F, which ethnic studies will reside. The Academic Senate has created a task force and to implement these Title V changes by December. So I've been working closely with the Academic Senate and Dr. Deborah Jackson will sit on that task force along with other faculty members that will take a look at making changes to the catalog so that we can hit that deadline, and I'm sure that we will. In parallel to that, one of the things that many of you are aware of, that I asked the ethnic studies faculty on our campus to work over the summer to develop a proposal for an ethnic studies department. And so that proposal is coming forward. I've seen a draft of that particular proposal, and I believe that it's going to move forward to the academic senate shortly. Importantly, it is the academic senate that must weigh in on the creation of any academic department. The faculty must agree. And so that process will be undertaken over this academic year. And we will see what the results of that as we get close to the academic year. And as you see there in the last bullet, I expect that the academic senate will receive this proposal over the next couple of weeks. So ethnic studies and AP 1460, we are working very, very steadily hand in hand in order to comply with the law, in order to implement the law, to respond not only to the events of this past summer, but to the events of the last 50 years. California has changed dramatically over the past 50 years, and this curricular change helps our curriculum actually reflect our students. So look forward to that progress over the course of the year and semester. Next slide. Our graduation rates, we're particularly proud of what we've done over the past 4 years. You will recall that our 4-year graduation rates was somewhere hovering around 14% several years ago. You also recall that there wasn't very wide understanding of cohort graduation rates or retention rates, and there were not resources specifically devoted to increase those. And how things have changed over my time period here at the institution. I want to use this opportunity to thank the department chairs for all that they do to helping students and shape their curriculum to support graduation. The advisors, the individuals in the offices of the registrar, the deans, the associate deans, I could go on. It is a remarkable collective achievement to have our graduation rates increase as they have. I won't spend too much time on this slide. I've distributed a lot of this information prior. But I will do a couple of highlights in terms of our 4-year graduation rate. We expect that to be almost 22% this year. That's up 4 points from last year. Our 6-year graduation rate, we expect that up to be another 4.5% to 47%, closing in on our GI 2025 target of 50%. And if you look in the bottom inset there, you can see that our 4-year transfer graduation rate, we expect to hit our 2025 year goal early. So about 4 years early, we expect to hit about 75% this year, which is our target. So it's just been a remarkable success on those graduation rates. The achievement has to be shared across the entire division and the entire university. And we're going to continue progress. We're going to hit those targets in all areas going forward. Next slide. Our equity gaps have been stubborn. We're working on those and trying to get those down to zero. We're going to hold very, very close to steady this year. But what I've done is launched an effort to review all of our tactics as it relates to equity gaps. So I'll be meeting with the leadership team over the next couple of weeks. We're going to look at everything that we're doing in terms of our URM equity gap and our Pell equity gap, deploying new strategies and new tactics to make sure that we get those down to zero. Next slide. A couple of quick important initiatives for academic affairs this year. Because we're predominantly virtual, you can see there at the top, the first bullet. We're launching a virtual engagement initiative that's in close collaboration with Student Affairs. I want to thank Ilaria for her outstanding leadership in this particular effort. Student Affairs is a marvelous partner in helping with student success. Dr. Wallace, all the individuals in that shop that are doing marvelous work. We want to make sure that students have a very engaged virtual experience over the course of this academic year, and we're working very, very steadily to do that. Over the next couple of weeks, we're taking a very close look at advising due to a grant from the Chancellor's Office. Inside Track, which is an advising consulting firm, is meeting with, it feels like everyone. There's so many meetings that are taking place. I did the kickoff a couple of days ago. Look forward to the results of that and how we continue to improve advising. Our data-driven decision-making initiative, which is being led by some marvelous individuals in academic affairs and BAS. Faust is on that group. Dwayne Cantrell and Krish Krishnan are all working together. The goal is to make sure that we're using data to drive decisions. To be candid, we're not where we need to be, but we will be. And so we're going to build new dashboards to make sure that every manager and department chair has access to the data that they need to make decisions. Also, it gives me opportunity to thank the Academic Senate for working with me on the Academic Affairs Pandemic Budget Advisory Task Force. That has been populated. It will be co-chaired by a faculty member and a member of the administration. We'll be announcing that full slate of individuals on that task force next week. And Dr. Deborah Jackson has done an awesome job of leading our WASC response. And the visit that we had just a short time ago, we will be addressing that very, very carefully over the next couple of years. So those are the major initiatives for academic affairs. You can see we have a lot to do, and we've also accomplished a lot. So we just see the road ahead, and we're running on it. Thank you.
Provost, thanks for your fantastic leadership. We're all so very indebted to you for moving forward so many important initiatives and for helping us to move forward on our graduation initiative data points. And thank you for putting that data out there so that we can all engage with it and all own it. And I'm very, very confident we're going to be meeting those goals, and some of them will be meeting early. So thank you very much. Let's move on to student affairs with Dr. Thomas Wallace.
Thank you. Good morning. I'd like to begin by thanking the student affairs team that continues to provide quality services to our students. We are pleased that we were able to bring back Dr. Donnell Mackey. We had a planning team that involved academic affairs and student affairs to coordinate our efforts in bringing her back. We were able to see so many different groups of students, over 400 this year that attended Dr. Mackey's session. And it is a way of using metacognition techniques to teach our students not only how to study, but how to learn. And we were thrilled that she agreed to come back this year. Though it was virtual, it was still engaging. And I do want to thank that planning team again for their efforts. I also want to commend Dr. Zelezny, who introduced Dr. Mackey at all 7 sessions. And for our president to take the time to do that, we are forever grateful that she sees and understands the importance of having someone like Dr. Mackey on our campus. Also, I want to yield the rest of my time to Erica Delamar, who serves as our Associate Director for our Student Health Services. She is the lead in helping us to keep our campus safe. And Erica, we cannot thank you enough. So we want her to kind of walk us through those things that we want to remain cognizant about relevant to COVID-19 and keeping our campus safe. Erica?
Thank you, Dr. Wallace. So I am just one member of the EOC. So there is a team of us who are doing a lot of work behind the scenes. And so one of the big ones we really wanted to talk to you about was the screening tool, which I will say we are getting good utilization rate of that. So we encourage you to keep doing that. It is really important in terms of keeping the campus safe and healthy. And so the Health Center, along with the EOC and some of the others, came up with, I pledge to be a responsible runner. And so part of that campaign, obviously, is that we pledge to mask, we pledge to do our social distancing, physical distancing, but we pledge to take the screening tool every time before coming to campus. If you need to come to campus, if you're coming for classes, if you're a staff who is actually working on campus, or if you're a faculty who is teaching classes or needing to come. Housing students, their policy is that if you leave campus, you would do that before returning to campus. The big thing that we would say is if you get told that you're not clear, is that you would in fact stay home. That there's a reason you're being told that you're not cleared to come to campus based on those questions that you're being asked. And we encourage you when filling out to kind of remember the guiding principles of CSUB. As runners, we value integrity and self-reflection. And so one of the big ones is to really reflect on the questions, answer them honestly, even if you feel that that is possibly going to not give you clearance to campus. We will walk you through the process. That's part of case management, the other side of the house on that. Collaborate to build community. As I mentioned, there's the EOC team that has worked a lot to putting things together, but you're also the team, and we need you to do your part. And that is taking the screening, staying home if you're sick, calling case management so we can walk you through the process and assist you in getting back clearance to come to campus. And then strive to be local and global citizens. That's part of that process of being part of the team and the campus community. So again, really just taking that every time that you're going to be coming to campus. There are 3 ways to screen. The 2 there are the 2 most preferred, which is the CSUB mobile app that you can download from the Apple Store or the Samsung Store. And that is the preferred one. The second one would be going to the CSUB COVID-19 page, and the website is there, and there is the screening evaluation there. And then if you're unable to do either of those, you can call the health center, and we can do the screening over the phone as well. To the furthest there is what that looks like. If you use the app, you'll either get a green, meaning go, you're cleared to come to campus, or a red, you're not cleared to come to campus. And so what does that mean? If you get the green, or if you do it any other way and you're cleared to come to campus, you can proceed to class. If you're not cleared, what we would ask is that you would contact the student health services for further screening. Sometimes we're able to clear you. Sometimes you hit a wrong button. That has happened a few times with people. But sometimes you truly are not cleared for campus, and then we will walk you through that process. Case management also does receive electronic notification now in terms of who isn't cleared. And so just know that we will be reaching out to you as well to kind of follow up, see if we can assist you in that process of getting you cleared for campus. And again, that's probably the biggest thing I would say, is just ending with, it is a team effort, and we appreciate all of you who are taking the time to do the screening and report and call case management if needed.
Erica, we certainly appreciate you. And if you'll look in the chat, you are our unsung hero. And so we cannot thank you enough for being a champion of our health and safety. And thank you again for really taking on this initiative on behalf of all of us here at CSUB. So thank you to Erica. Dr. Wallace, any other updates from Student Affairs?
No, thank you very much, Dr. Zelezny.
Thank you. And now let's move forward to get an update from our Chief Financial Officer and Vice President of Business and Administrative Services, Tom Davis.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Welcome, everybody. And Crystal, again, congratulations. We are very proud of you here. Go Runners. So just a couple of quick updates for the campus community. Most importantly is this slide that we're looking at here. This is from the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. This is a nonpartisan research and policy institute in Washington, D.C. They track various activities across the country, and one of the items that they are tracking is the state budget shortfalls that result as a result of recessions in prior years. And so this slide presentation was presented to me at a national conference a few weeks ago. I thought it would be good information for the campus community to understand the realities of COVID-19 and the economic impact on the country, on the state of California, and what that means to the California State University and CSU Bakersfield. What you can see there in the blue shaded area was the recession of 2001. So the recession started in 2001. The losses in billions of dollars, and these are stated in terms of 2020 dollars, was 60 billion, and then it moved to 105 billion, and then to 110 billion, and began to turn around. So you could see how the trough moved from 60 to 105. Comparing that to the green shaded areas, this is the Great Recession of 2008. And many of you in the campus community were here at CSUB during the recession. You know very well the fiscal impacts that had to the California State University as well as California State University Bakersfield. And what you can see there is in 2009, when the recession began to hit, the impact was 132 billion, and then it moved into the next year at 230 billion, and then began to turn around in 2011, 12, and 13. We compare that now to the world that we are living in, which began in 2019, COVID-19, and the closing down of the economy has had tremendous impact on the country and certainly the state of California. You can see there for the year 2020, so this is the impact from the fiscal year 19, the losses were projected at 110 billion. Well, what did that mean? That meant that the California State University ended up with a $300 million reduction in our budget, to which California State University Bakersfield, we received a little over a $5.5 million reduction. Unfortunately, as we watch this trajectory, you can see what the impact potentially could be for 2021, growing nearly threefold in economic losses and then beginning to turn around in 2022. So I know many of you are hearing about activities on other campuses. I just want to let you know that CSU Bakersfield, we do have some reserves. We are using our reserves in this current fiscal year. We are working strategically and planning for the upcoming years. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody was cognizant and reaffirming what President Zelezny has been saying numerous times on numerous occasions, is that this is going to be a multi-year strategy and a multi-year process for us to navigate our way through the next 3 years. So we want to preemptively thank you for your continued diligence and efforts to continue to keep CSUB strong as we navigate ourselves through these significantly challenging economic times. With that, we can move to the second slide. I know the campus is very interested in how does the CARES Act impact our campus, and what exactly is the CARES Act, and it is the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. That's where it gets its acronym CARES, and specifically it's the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund, or the HEERF. So if you hear those acronyms, that's what people are talking about. Well, what does that mean to our campus? Well, we received 3 separate allocations of money. The first allocation came in 2 phases, whereby the Department of Education, as approved by Congress, allowed California State University Bakersfield approximately $6.8 million in monies to be used for student assistance. In addition to that, we received another $6.8 million to be used by the campus for various expenditures and items related to COVID-19 and related to transitioning the campus from a brick and mortar, boots on the ground campus to a virtual Zoom, anything and everything campus remotely. In addition to that, we received another $956,000 allocation because we are a Hispanic serving institution. There was a special earmark of funds for campuses that our minority serving, including the Hispanic serving universities, as well as the historical Black universities. So the total we received was a little shy of $14.6 million. The way that we are using those funds is the first 6.8 million, of course, that was allocated to students. We did allocate that to students, and as the students know, we distributed that in the spring of 2020. In addition to that, where have we been spending the rest of the money, or where do we plan to spend the rest of the money? Well, we have been purchasing things on behalf of students. This would include things like hotspots for them to be able to use, computers, Chromebooks, anything and everything we can think of that will assist that process. That's representing about 7% of the spend. In addition to that, we had student refunds, predominantly in the spring. As you recall, when we needed to close the student housing and dining, parking, all of those things, refunds were issued to students, and the CARES Act allows us to reimburse ourselves for the monies that we were given to students for that. In addition to that, we are currently planning to invest about 26% of the money into transforming our classrooms and our information technology so that we can continue to deliver a first-class educational experience to our students, albeit in this virtual environment. It also addresses things in the classroom that allow us to create the social distancing and the safety measures we need to put in place for those courses that we currently are able to teach here on the campus. In addition to that, we've allocated about 11% for other COVID-19 related costs. This is everything from buying personal protection equipment to hand sanitizers to additional custodial work to keep the campus clean. So I thought it would be helpful for campus to see this slide and to understand what the funds are. One particularly important part is, and for those of you, faculty members who work in the grant area, you'll understand this very well. These monies are earmarked. They have special things that the campus can spend it on. We can't just use it, for example, to support our operating budget. So Congress was very clear about kind of the guiding principles by which we needed to spend, and the allocation that you see here is consistent with our understanding of the availability of spend, and we are trying to deploy these resources, number one, in the best interest of our students and our faculty and our staff. So with that, that will conclude my remarks.
Thank you very much, Tom, for the clarity in the CARES money. Let me also thank Julie Oberles, who did a heroic job of getting that $6.8 million out to our students as quickly as possible last spring. So my thanks to your team. Let me also thank Faust and his team, everyone in custodial, for their around-the-clock work, making sure that we are sanitizing and those protocols are very strict so that we are all safe. So I want to thank really a magnificent job by everyone in business and administrative services. Thank you, Tom. Let's move forward to hear some good updates about our 50th anniversary and other good things from our Vice President of Advancement, Victor Martin.
Thank you, President Zelezny. And thanks everyone for joining us today. Happy to give you some updates about our 50th anniversary. As the President mentioned, we are entering our 50th anniversary year. In fact, on October 1st, 1970, that was our first day of classes, which is why we've selected October 1st, 2020 to have our birthday or our anniversary event, if you will. You've already heard the great news that President Zelezny was able to secure Sir Richard Branson to be our keynote speaker, which we're extremely excited about. And he is going to be just one of many who are participating in that virtual event, which we hope you can all join us for. It's going to be 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. on October 1st, as I mentioned, and this is going to coincide with CSUB's first ever Giving Day, which is going to be a 24-hour online fundraising event, essentially an opportunity to try and give every area of campus the opportunity to raise funds to support their efforts from a wide variety of our constituents with all kinds of social media and platform sharing amongst our friends, donors, and potential donors that are out there. So I hope you can participate in that. I want to give a huge shout out to Ellie Furgon, to Ezra Hashem, to Danny Rodella, to Faust Gorham, and a whole bunch of other folks who have participated to volunteers, to help make that a great day. And we're really looking forward to it. We have a whole series of events throughout the year. And what we did is about a year ago, we assembled a team of volunteers again that represented every area of campus: faculty, staff, students, alumni, community members, foundation board members, and so on. It's co-chaired by John Nylon. And we basically sought feedback from every constituent group that we have and tried to compile a whole year-long series of events where every school, every functional area, every dean, every program was involved. And we think we've really built a really robust calendar of events and lots of exciting things. I'm just highlighting October right now, but rest assured, if you visit the website below, and I might ask one of my team members to share that website in the chat, the CSUB's 50th anniversary website, we have a whole list of events and all kinds of great stories, 50 greatest photos over the years, lots of fun things to think about and to look at. And thanks to the library for all of their work and all of you who've submitted to help make that happen. On October 13th, we have a virtual book launch. Huge shout out to Kurt Asher and Miriam Vivian, who have been working on this for years to celebrate the first 50 years of CSUB. And that book is going to be available for purchase with proceeds going back to the Public History Institute and the library. You'll see more about that on the website and hear more about that as we continue to promote that event. Please take part in that. That's very exciting for us. And then at the end of October, Kegley Institute of Ethics is doing their 50th anniversary lecture, Breaking Hate. What we looked for in all of our 50th anniversary events is to try and use the calendar to work for us. So existing events that we might have already had, we would just take them to the next level. It'd be in honor of our golden anniversary and use 50th anniversary marketing and branding to help celebrate that and to help share that broadly throughout our community. You'll also see at the bottom of your screen the 50th anniversary marketing toolkit. A big shout out to our marketing communications folks who have put that together. And that will give you everything from email signature lines to PowerPoint templates to letterhead to the Zoom background that you see behind me. So please do visit that. Next slide, please. Okay, university advancement overall has had an outstanding year in terms of engagement from alumni and marketing communications. I've mentioned events. Alumni engagement right now, they have implemented a fantastic new software tool called Runner Bridge, and it allows for long-term mentoring or kind of a quick hit mentoring where you can do a partial mentoring throughout the year between our alumni and our current students, all working towards some of those statistics that Dr. Harper showed earlier in terms of retention and graduation rates. And we really do want to have strong participation in our mentoring program. We've already seen lots and lots of folks sign up for that. So we're very proud of that. Please visit that website if you're interested. And then Alumni Hall of Fame nominations. We're in the process of recruiting our next class of Alumni Hall of Famers. And the deadline for that is October 19th. So if you have someone you'd like to suggest, please visit that website and we welcome your submission. In terms of fundraising, Vernon mentioned this as well, that graduation rates and the success rates there are a collective effort of the university. The same thing here. We had a record-breaking year with $10.3 million raised, and that was more than any single year in the 49-year history of our institution up until now. All of you should be commended for your great work, your expertise, the credibility that you're lending to the institution. And so many of you, we see it there, faculty and staff donors, that's a record high for us. 369 of you have contributed to the foundation in this past year. We expect those numbers to increase again in this fiscal year. And one of the highlights, as you see the picture there, President Zelezny at the Board of Trustees getting a naming confirmation for Grimm Family Center for Ag Business was the single largest gift commitment we've had in our 50-year history. So all things are pointing up. We're really excited about how things are going. A huge congratulations to Crystal Raines again from University Advancement, and a thanks to her as well. She's agreed to be a representative of the trustees at our foundation board meetings from here on out for the rest of her term. So very much looking forward to our work together. And thank you for everything that you're doing to help make this a successful year for us again.
Well, thank you very much. What an exciting time to be at CSUB, and the anniversary is going to be spectacular. I really thank you for the great update, Victor. Let's move forward to hear from our Chief Diversity Officer, Claudia Catota.
Thank you, Dr. Zelezny. Our Division of Equity, Inclusion, and Compliance continues to provide support and services for our faculty, students, and staff. I want to give a shout out to Marcus Brown and Jorge Villatoro for the work on implementing Title IX changes over the summer that were implemented by that were issued by the federal government. Thank you for your hard work behind the scenes. We are in the process of establishing CSUB's Campus Climate Committee, and the name is subject to change. The Campus Climate Committee is one of the listed strategies under Goal 2, which is advanced faculty and staff success in our university strategic plan. The intent of the Campus Climate Committee is twofold. First, to steer the university's work on cultivating a campus community that champions diversity, equity, and inclusion. And secondly, to guide the university's leadership on critical issues related to campus climate. The initial work of the Campus Climate Committee is expected to oversee two projects. One is the implementation of a campus climate survey, and for our faculty and staff, that would be the Great Colleges to Workforce Survey, which is expected to occur in spring of 2021. And then we also have yet to be determined a student campus climate survey as well. The second initiative would be then using that information to develop a university strategic plan to set concrete goals and measure progress, which will create accountability for our campus community as we move in our diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. The individuals, next slide, please. The individual members have not yet been selected for the Campus Climate Committee, but I would like to propose the following composition of the membership to capture diverse perspectives and experiences on our campus. I propose ASI representative, student representative, faculty representative, a representative from our academic senate, 2 staff representatives, a representative from student affairs, a representative from athletics, a representative from our Kern County Bakersfield community, as well as the Chief Diversity Officer. Thank you.
Thank you. We have much work ahead, and I'm so proud of the work that Claudia is leading related to our diversity strategic plan, and we look forward to ratifying that in the spring of 2021 with action items. And again, thank you very much for your leadership, Claudia. At this time, it is time to entertain questions. And Faust, if you would assist me in that. I did note that Dean Asher, I did see your hand up earlier on. Why don't we go with you first?
Okay. So the books, Victor mentioned the 50th anniversary book. I just wanted to say a little more about it. So it's out. This is the cover here. You can see it's very pretty. And I think it's $20. It's available through the marketing service that we're using for the 50th anniversary stuff at CSUB, and it's basically a coffee table book that briefly outlines our history. And so I just wanted to mention that. It's been a long project, and I'm glad that we were able to secure Bakersfield Californian journalist Olivia Garcia and the rest of the team to make it available. And so that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dean. And I just can't wait to see it. So we're going to be promoting it widely. And thank you for investing all of the time and leadership in that important book, and to all of the team. Let's move forward with other questions. And Faust, if you'll assist me, thank you.
Absolutely, President. Please just raise your hand or type it in the chat, please, if you have a question.
While we're waiting for questions, I do see our athletic director on the forum today, and I'm very, very proud of the fact that there is a new committee that has been put forth by the Big West, and we have 2 representatives, including our athletic director. Dr. Ziggy, would you mind sharing the good news about your leadership and the leadership of our scholar athlete, Vanessa Austin?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Zelezny. So the Big West Conference created a standing committee that is for diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's called Big West Undivided. And along with myself, I was selected to be a part of this committee, which I'm completely honored by that selection. And then also our fantastic leader on our women's basketball team, Vanessa Austin, was selected. So it's made up of 2 administrators from each Big West school and many other scholar athletes. And I feel very confident we're going to make a great impact around the areas of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So really excited. Thank you, Dr. Zelezny.
Thank you very much. We're very proud of that effort by the Big West, and we've been warmly welcomed to the Big West. And I've been very pleased to be very engaged in the work of the presidents and chancellors on moving forward with athletics, which are now postponed, but we'll be hearing more from the NCAA and from our conference as we move forward. I do see a good question from Crystal Ball. And Crystal, if you would like to ask that question, and it is related to enrollment. So I did see our own Dr. Dwayne Cantrell, if you'll be on standby to help us with that question. Thank you. Crystal, please.
Yeah, I just, because I've seen that graphic a few times because it talks about the 3-year shortfalls, but I do notice that we were one of the campuses that we didn't see a dip in our enrollment. And so I'm just wondering if that will work in our favor as we move forward with some of those budget constraints.
Great question. Let me begin, and then I'm going to turn it over to our Associate Vice President for Enrollment Management. And Tom, please chime in if you will. So one of the things that has really saved us, Crystal, is our discipline to put money into our reserve. So not all CSUs are equal on this, but we, again, have been very disciplined in the past. So we do have a reserve that we can fall back on at this time, and we are using it. And so that is primarily what is allowing us to move forward. So we were one of the CSUs also that moved forward with faculty hires and not putting all faculty hires on a freeze. We saw it as an opportunity instead to get some of those fantastic, talented faculty here at CSUB when other searches for faculty were closed around the nation. It really paid off for us. It was a great strategy. So let me let our Associate Vice President talk about our record enrollment. I really think it's thanks to all of you, Crystal, the faculty and the staff. The students continue to invest in coming to CSUB because the distinction of the university. So while we saw record enrollment, I will note Bakersfield College did take a dip in enrollment. So it really is a credit to all of you and the curriculum that you're offering. Dr. Cantrell, would you mind sharing the good news about enrollment here at CSUB?
Sure. Thank you, President Zelezny. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. So yes, as the president was mentioning, that it is a community effort to keep enrollment strong because having a campus that is desirable to attend for many reasons helps with students in their decision making. I can also say there's a lot of behind the scenes strategy that took place in terms of reaching out to students, making sure that we were staying in communication with students who were wondering what was going on and what we were doing at the campus. So we had lots of efforts that took place to make sure that students were getting through the admissions and enrollment processes, thanks to admissions, registrar, advisors, and so on. The thing I will say is that when it comes to enrollment and numbers, and Tom Davis will talk about this, I'm sure, is that there's a threshold. So yes, strong enrollment helps. You don't want to go too far under, but you also don't want to go too far over a given target, because then it goes from being a benefit to the campus to a stressor to the campus. So we have to make sure that we maintain a particular threshold. But yes, we're very happy about the numbers that we're seeing. We actually continue to stay open for spring for transfer students because we did have a little bit lower because of BC. We had a lower transfer population for new transfer students, but we're open that and we're processing those now. So I think we're looking pretty good.
Thank you, Dr. Cantrell. And Tom, please, any additional thoughts?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And again, thank you, Dr. Cantrell. We always appreciate more enrollment than less enrollment. That obviously translates into dollars, which helps the campus. The campus may recall, though, but a few years back, we moved from relying on our over-enrollment to balance our budget to balancing our budget on what is known as the Chancellor's target. That was a strategic move that has helped us now in this environment. Many of you may recall over the last several years, we've continued to transfer a little over about $5.4 million to supplement our base budget. But because we disciplined ourselves that way, we've been able to manage our budget, certainly in this fiscal year, taking that into account and having those reductions. And so while other campuses have their over enrollment and they make it part of their operating budget, we have been moving in a direction to not do that, which is helping us quite a bit. We still have some challenges, and certainly more enrollment is good. There's obviously direct costs related to that because we, typically will have lecturer costs increase because we're delivering extra sections beyond the budget. So it's not a real dollar for dollar. There are real costs. But having said that, the campus does have an economy of scale. So it doesn't necessarily cost us that much more to open up another session, except for perhaps the direct cost of a lecture because we're paying the facility costs and everything anyway. And so it's there. So it is a good strategy. One important part for the campus to remember as well is while the state of California and the legislation reduced the California State University $300 million, they did not reduce our target enrollment that they want us to enroll across the campuses. Well, why do I say that and what does that mean? What that means is the legislation is not acknowledging the reality that they are giving us less dollars per student to educate now than they have in the past. You may recall in years past when they gave us money for enrollment growth, they were quick to say, increase your full-time equivalent targets, CSU, to accommodate these students because we've given you more money. But they are slow to say, reduce your full-time equivalent CSU because we're giving you less money. So that just creates additional pressures for us. And that results into some of the over-enrollment where in the past might have been some extra money for us, if you will. It actually is going to be closing the gap between what we were being funded by the legislation and what we're now being funded. I'll close with that and just remind the campus, we do have a budget open forum session next month. And we will be talking more in depth about, the various moving parts with respect to our budget and where we are with our current year budget and things we might, be cognizant of and look for in future years as we move forward. So that'll be Brian Street will be leading that conversation. Certainly I will be joining him on that. But I do encourage you to make note of that, that will be next month, the budget forum, and we're happy to answer questions of the campus, at that time.
Thank you very much. And Crystal, I hope that gave you a landscape of, how we have to be very strategic about growth, but also very, very proud of our efforts with how we're managing our budget. Again, this will be a 3-year budget challenge, so we'll need to go to university budget, make sure that we're consulting, and make sure that we have the right strategies as we're moving forward with a 3-year challenge. I want to thank Dr. John Tarjan for your kind words about commitment to faculty. I am so delighted to have the 30 new tenure track faculty that have joined our amazing amazing, talented faculty here at CSUB. Coffee and conversations are going to continue, and a new faculty, it begins with you. So just as an FYI, if you see an invitation for a virtual coffee and conversation, there's no agenda. It's just about saying hello and getting to know you. So thanks very much, Dr. Tarjan, for that kind comment. How about other questions?
Ezra has her hand up.
Hi, thank you. I have a question about ethnic studies. I know right now we have a Latinx studies course and we have a comparative ethnic studies course. And I guess my question is, as we expand, how are the decisions going to be made in terms of which courses to have, like a Black studies course or other marginalized groups? Just expanding on how we're going to grow ethnic studies.
Provost, I know that you've got a team of faculty that you're working with on that. Please.
Absolutely, and that's a great question. And so right now, our ethnic studies program is housed within interdisciplinary studies. I'm going to give a flash alert to Deborah so she can speak a bit more to that. And so, as with any department, I believe that that the faculty will be the ones driving the creation of those courses. They will. We have a lot of courses on tap. As I mentioned, we have 2 courses that are already approved and on the books for students to begin in the fall of 21. But I've heard and been part of conversations of the development of so many more courses, and some courses across the spectrum, the portfolio of academic programs. Deborah, is there anything you want to add?
I did. Thank you, Provost. I did want to add one other thing, Ezra. Thank you so much for asking that question. The communications I've received from the Chancellor's office is that there will be student learning outcomes identified for the core competencies associated with this new Area F of general education. And so whichever courses are proposed will need to meet those learning outcomes. We haven't been given them yet. They're still being vetted with the Chancellor's office and the Ethnic Studies Task Force. That's system-wide. But as soon as we get those, then what we'll be able to do is measure any proposed courses against those to determine whether they are an appropriate fit for the general education program. And that's the work of the General Education Curriculum Committee. What they do is receive those proposals, look to make sure they adhere to the learning outcomes, and then make a decision to approve or not based on how good of a fit that is. The faculty in interdisciplinary studies that has an ethnic studies concentration has been working in preparation for receiving those learning outcomes, and they have some course proposals that they've been working on. I know one faculty member is working on one that's an introduction to Asian American studies. Another is working on a course, Introduction to Indigenous Studies, so that we have all 4 historically racialized groups represented in our curriculum. That's the hope.
Perfect. Thank you.
Ezra, I want to thank you for the great question. I know you're doing your doctoral work related to this, and so I'm really happy that we could share best practices. And as always, the faculty are the ones that are responsible for the curriculum, and so thank you to the faculty for their very hard work in making sure that CSUB is a leader on this initiative. I do see a question from JR, so nice to see you. Happy to entertain your question, JR.
Hello, Dr. Zelezny and everybody else. Good morning to everybody. It's a pleasure to see you, all your wonderful faces. I miss every single one of you guys. My question had to do with the campus climate committee that's going to be founded and how for somebody to be a member of that, working in the education opportunity program. Anytime I hear anything about diversity, inclusion, especially in regards to my students, I'm always interested in getting involved.
Thanks so much. Well, what we'll do is we'll have Claudia do an offline with you, JR, and touch base with you. And again, this is why we presented it here at Open Forum, is to get feedback on that proposed committee. And we know that there's going to be a lot of interest. One thing you need to remember is that all will be part of our diversity strategic plan. So just as we move forward with our university strategic plan, there'll be a core team that will be responsible for going out and consulting and gathering the ideas and the metrics and the actions that we need to move forward on. So all will be expected to be part of that. So I'll encourage you to speak with Claudia offline. And thanks so much for, again, underscoring the importance of this work, and appreciate all that you do. Other questions?
There's one from Jamie. Go ahead, Jamie.
Hello, President Zelezny. I have a question, and it's more of a concern. There are many supportive services programs on campus that support the success of our students, including the Veteran Center Coordinator position. The position has always been temporarily funded, but due to the pandemic and the budget shortfalls, I am concerned that the temporary funded position will be cut and our veterans and our veteran families will be without an academic support for our students, including that of the link between the campus and the Veteran Center community that we have. So will the funding for our Veteran Center be allocated for our programs, or will it be cut?
Jamie, I have not heard about cuts to veterans programs, and I'm pretty much in the loop on veteran support in the CSU system. So I'll need to, of course, be very honest with you as we move forward in our 3-year challenges. We all need to be aware that for lack of work and for funding issues, that there could be some positions that will no longer continue. But let me get back to you. I have a meeting with Chancellor White on Friday, and I will ask him directly about that. In the meantime, Provost and Tom Davis, have you, in your CSU meetings, have you heard anything about the continuation or discontinuation of veteran services? I have not heard that as a threat, but perhaps you have updates.
I'll just step in there. I haven't heard anything. There's been no conversation. I can attest to that amongst the CSU provost regarding cuts to the veteran services.
Right, and I can confirm that, to my knowledge, there's been no discussions amongst the CFOs through the CSU regarding that.
But let me do some work to ease your mind, all right, so that I can actually ask that specific question, and I think it's a very fair question. And as you know, veterans, particularly here in Kern County, are extraordinarily important to us and the service that they've given to our country. So, Jamie, let me thank you for your leadership, and thank you for asking that important question. And we'll do my best to get back with you on that. Thank you. Other questions?
Thank you.
Crystal Ball has a comment. Crystal.
I just had an idea for our ethnic studies because we have so many biology, medical, pre-health, nursing on our campus, and it's one of our, one of our main majors. And racial disparities in healthcare is something that COVID is really shining a light on, and I thought it might be a good fit for this new ethics studies requirement.
Thank you. Health disparities are part of the confluence of the challenges that we're facing right now. So thank you very much for that idea. And I can see that that was recorded by our provost. And let's add that to our continuing work in addressing racial injustice. Other questions, please.
Please just type it in the chat or raise your virtual hand and we'll call on you.
And if there are any students, of course, we welcome you to come forward. Just as an FYI, we do plan our runner walk and talk tomorrow, the 17th. That's Thursday at 2 p.m. That is especially an hour for students, but all are welcome, and all are welcome to ask questions. But students, you are prioritized in that meeting. But if there are students today, we welcome those questions as well. So please step forward.
Marlene. Yep.
Thank you, Marlene.
Hi, President Zelezny. I just was curious, and I know I'm not the only staff that's curious about this, is that with the recent announcement from the Chancellor's office that classes will be virtually online through spring semester, how does that affect staff being able to come back to campus and work more on campus? Or are we still going to be primarily at home through spring?
Yes, you will continue to work, and I will let our Vice President for Business Administration to give you an update on that.
Yes, so there will be a memorandum coming out to the campus community. We will be extending the telecommuting and the stay away from campus until Monday. I believe it's Monday, May 24th, which is the Monday following when we would normally have our commencement. So that memorandum would be coming out from Lori Blodorn probably in the next week or so. So just be on the lookout for that. But yes, just know that you will continue doing what you're doing now through the spring.
Thanks for the good question, Marlene and others. Commencement was mentioned. Let me be very upfront about where we stand on our commencement. I want to thank the Provost's office for having plans ready to go to celebrate graduates of 2020 and 2021. However, graduation ceremonies, until we have clearance from the governor for mass gatherings and from Kern Public Health, will continue to be on hold. And we will look forward to that celebration in person, because we have heard from our students that walking across the stage in person, face to face, congratulations is so very, very important to our students. And so we will abide by that feedback. We do look forward to a face-to-face graduation, and we hope it's soon. But until we have that clearance, we will have to, again, just hope for that clearance for mass gatherings as we get into the spring. Other questions, please.
Dwayne Cantrell.
This question is for Tom Davis. So Tom, with us not being on campus and not having so many people on campus, I know folks find it tough and it's hard, but are there any positive financial implications for not having so many people inside the buildings?
That's a really good question. We certainly are experiencing reduced expenditures in those types of things that you might expect. There's not nearly as much printing going on campus. Certainly there's no travel going on. We are trying to ensure that employees have what they need, to be productive in the workspaces at home. I think the primary focus, though, Dwayne, more so is just the safety of the students, faculty, and staff. It's so important, based off of the chancellor's directive, that people stay away from the campus as just another place where you could potentially have people gathering and, create the issues that are related to that. So that's really the primary driver. We certainly have, core buildings that, continue to remain needing to be heated or cooled. We have custodial out. The weeds don't seem to care about COVID-19. They get out there and the trees and whatnot. So we still, those who do come to campus, they will see a little bit of activity going on. But, good question. But, it's not, the real savings are more a function of just the changes that everybody has experienced in their normal, work week, work months, just kind of that process. I think the campus has become very good about not needing to print as much. I know that we've made great progresses, and thanks to Faust and his team with rolling out Adobe Sign, and those types of things. And I think the campus, it's important to be aware, as we get to the other side of this pandemic, we will have some lessons learned and some new ways of doing business, which will probably include Adobe Sign continuing to be very robust and other things that are related to that as we move forward and continue to strive to be very productive and efficient about how we conduct the business at the university.
Thank you for the very good question. And it is amazing, too, how much time our custodial teams are having to make sure we are abiding by the strictest of sanitation protocols. I do want to give also some good news, though, with regard to moving forward with renovation of some of our facilities. And I see Dean Frakes there, so I thought I'd throw a little good news to Arts and Humanities. We will have continued work on renovations, and so really proud, Dean, that we're going to be able to move forward with your renovation of your Performing Arts Media Center, and big smile from the Dean. And so when you do come back to campus, we're hopeful that you will see those renovations. And Dean, do you want to say anything about that building?
It's been a long time coming, but I appreciate your support and the support of everyone else in the administration and facilities and faculty for their work on this. We've got some great plans in development, and it's going to be a really nice facility that will really help our students. So I'm really excited about it.
Thank you. So again, you can see behind the scenes, there is continued work being done. Let's continue on with any questions. We have about 10 minutes.
No new questions at this time. Again, please just type them in the chat or raise your virtual hand.
While I'm waiting for questions to come in, I always want to give you up-to-date real-time information. One of the things that we have learned, it was mentioned by Tom Davis, is that we have learned that some students in their scheduling have had issues with a class on campus and an immediate class following that's virtual. We have identified, I want to thank Faust Gorham for running the data on this. We've identified the number of students that have this challenge. So we'll be moving forward to open a specialized computer lab, Lab A. You'll be hearing more about this, and those students that do find themselves on campus and immediately need to get to their virtual will be on a first-come, first-serve option to use our Lab A for a computer services. Also, in that lab will be the printer, which we heard from some of our students. So students, I want to thank you for sharing the concern. We have learned about scheduling. And one of the things we'll need to look at scheduling with regard to the spring is to make sure you're aware when you sign up for those courses that you're going to have those issues with the timing. And so we have been working really proactively. We'll look forward to giving you the heads up on when that is available. I want to thank Faust Gorham for the analysis, for making the recommendations. We're now working on getting all of the sanitation, plexiglass, et cetera, lined up so that we can open that for students. So students, if you're on board here, please know that we heard from you via ASI, and thank you to ASI for being such great advocates for student needs, and we are moving forward on that. And I want to thank Campus Preparedness again, who worked on the details of that. Let me also say, I see many faculty on our forum today, and just to know, it is important for you to know that as we get into the fall, there is the potential for there to be power outages. So faculty, staff, I want to make sure that you are giving leniency to those students that might face power outages. And in fact, you need to be aware of it too. And that you're aware that some students may face that challenge. In addition, on October 10th at 10 a.m., and you'll be able to remember this, 10, there will be an evacuation drill, which is required by the state for housing. We have about 80 students in housing. So faculty, if you're teaching a class on October 10th, at 10 o'clock, and you do have any students in housing, they will be required to participate in that emergency evacuation drill. It's just our residence hall students, and we'll be sending more information out to you via our Chief Williamson. Let me see if there are any other questions.
President, Darius Riggins asked if there's any update on the construction of the new building on Camino Media and the collaboration with Bakersfield College.
That I am happy to be a big cheerleader. If you haven't been to our campus lately, not only are you going to see the renovations, but our public-private partnership, which is at the very south face of CSUB, is moving brilliantly ahead. So hopefully when we come back to campus, we will have a beautiful new public-private partnership building that we'll be very proud of. And it's beautiful. Every time I see it, it gives me a smile. So that's moving forward as well. Thank you, Darius, for the great question. Other questions? Crystal, I see a question about delayed with your PPE order. You want to give me a little more data on that, and then see if I can get a expedited. Crystal, you want to say anything more about that?
Yeah, that was the large order that we did as a whole campus. And now nursing, we're starting to run very, very low for supplies, and we still haven't received anything yet. So I just wondered if we could check on that.
You bet. Tom, I don't know, or Faust, if you have an update on, I know PPE is getting stalled everywhere because we're getting ready for the potential surge in October. We might have to go offline to give you a more up-to-date, Faust. Please.
President, I do see Tim Reedley on, and also we are ordering. We are receiving some, so we can definitely coordinate and try to backfill into your order is in, Crystal, from the custodial side. So let's just have an offline on that. But also Tim's here in case we need some additional information.
Yeah, I'm glad to know that, Crystal. Thank you. That's why these forums are important. I need to know where we need to make other arrangements. Tim, do you want to say anything? I know you've been working hard on all of our PPE.
Yeah, actually, there are orders that are on their way in. There has been some delays, of course, and we're working with Marina and Justin over in the procurement department, and we can get an update out to everyone on that.
We are here to serve. So, Crystal, thanks for bringing that to my attention. I had not heard that. I'm open to other questions. You have about 4 minutes. Thank you. Are there any announcements from any on the forum that you would like to announce in our final 3 minutes? I want to thank all those that worked on the kickoff of Hispanic Heritage. Yesterday was fantastic. I loved the kickoff. To our own Dr. Taub Robles. What a beautiful, beautiful presentation. I loved the poetry. I loved learning new things about advocates and women that were really ahead of their time, trailblazers. So thank you again for that wonderful lecture. And thanks to all who are working on our month-long celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month. Are there any announcements?
President Vanessa Chicaiza has her hand up.
Fantastic.
Vanessa?
President Vanessa, please.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to invite everyone that's on this call to the ASI board meeting, which is on Friday from 3 to 5. A link is usually sent out, but it is also on our ASI Instagram. So that is all. Thank you.
Thank you, President Vanessa. You're doing an amazing job. And yes, welcome to all. We always learn new things from our students. And
President, if I may make one announcement to our faculty. Faculty or advisors, if you have any students that are telling you that their computing, especially their home computer or their laptop, isn't able to keep up with what they need for classes, please let them know to contact the service center. We do have a few extra, and we also have some Chromebooks that have been brought back, so they can help to backfill or provide some kind of help in case students need that. So please let us know.
Many thanks for your leadership, Faust, and IT. Again, you've been heroic during these pandemic times. Thank you so much. Other announcements?
JR has his hand up. Go ahead, JR.
Hey, JR.
President Zelezny, I don't know how to say this, so I'm just going to throw it out there with all the information I have. As you know, since we moved virtually, along with many other universities, there's been a lot of concern, and there's been a lot of, negativity thrown at universities, saying that, students are wasting money, X, Y, and Z, which I personally, as main in the CSU, I did classes online during my undergrad and grad career. And I know our professors and our staff and our admin are doing everything we can to give our students the highest education we could possibly give them. And going into October 1st, we're doing the new application cycle for fall 2021. And I was wondering, is there any sort of PR campaign the CSU is planning on doing, saying, hey, I know this is a situation, we're virtual, but it's not a waste of money. All of our staff and admin are doing a tremendous job with the transition to virtual. In addition to that, if students qualify for financial aid, their financial aid will cover, especially, for us at the CSUB, many of our students have full financial aid coverage. I know all my students in the UP program have full financial coverage. And it was something I wanted to ask because, I'll just be honest, it's, working in the CSU system, being made in the CSU system, it's frustrating to see this negativity thrown at CSUB as well as our sister campuses.
Thank you very much for the great question, JR. And the campaign is this: don't let up. Continue to invest in yourself. And so one of the things that's going to be urgent is, as we come out of the pandemic, we need students to have their degree in hand to be ready for workforce needs in California. It will be absolutely urgent and essential to have college educated workforce to, again, reboot our economy in California. So that's the message I've been messaging out. I have quite a lot of requests for virtual messages, and that's the one that I share with all of our students is this is the time to continue your education and to not take a gap year. I want to thank you for your support, JR. Thank you. We are about at time, but are there any other questions?
So Timothy's asking, how are the fish and turtles?
Well, that's a great question. I haven't seen the fish and turtles, and I don't think Dr. Wallace has it either. We're minding the rules of campus, so I'm going to assume that they are thriving.
President, I pass by them almost daily, and they're looking good. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Well, with that, do we have any last minute comments or questions? And I'm going to send you on your way to enjoy your Wednesday. Well, with that, let me thank all of you for participating, for being engaged with all of the work of CSUB. Thank you for being part of the CSUB family. It's been a very, very informative open forum. We look forward to our budget forum next month and our strategic forum in November 5th. Again, remember that we're trying very, very hard to stay connected. I look forward to all of you joining me for Runner Walk and Talk tomorrow, 2:00. And students, I look forward especially to seeing you. Thank you all for joining us today. Stay well and stay strong. Bye.